So today we're going to find the equation for a line if we have 2 points on the line. We aren't necessarily given the slope, but the good news for us is that we can find the slope if we have 2 points on the line. And in fact, that is our first step. So we have a process for writing an equation of a line if we have 2 points. And that first step is to find the slope of the line using slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Then we only need one of the points to write an equation for a line, and we can choose either one. So what I have here is an example that we're going to go through, and that is example 5. It says find the equation of the line containing the points -2, 3, and 4, -1. The first thing you want to do, label your points. So x1, y1, x2, and y2. It's going to make it easier and it's going to prevent you from making mistakes. So our slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and y2 minus y1 is -1 minus 3. In my denominator, I have x2 minus x1, so 4 minus -2. Our numerator, -1 minus 3, is -4. In my denominator, 4 minus the -2 is the same as 4 plus 2, which is 6. And we can simplify this to -2/3. And if you can simplify your slope, you should always do that. So the next thing we're going to do, we've got the slope, we're going to find the equation for the line. We can use either of the 2 points. I'm using the first one just because I already labeled it x1 and y1. So my next step is to use the process that we learned yesterday, which is to start with the point slope formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And I'm going to plug in y1, m, and x1. So y minus y1 is going to be y minus 3. The slope is -2/3 times x minus x1. So this is going to be x minus -2, which is the same as x plus +2. Remember this. When we're simplifying this into standard form, we're not going to want a fraction. So instead of distributing that fraction, my first step is to get rid of it. So I'm going to multiply both sides by my denominator, which is 3. On the left, I'm going to have to distribute. So on the left, I have 3y minus 9. On the right, the 3 and the 3 in the denominator cancel, and I'm just going to distribute the -2. So I have -2x minus 4. In my next step, I want to get all my constants together. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. And I have 3y equals -2x plus 5. Now I want to get my 2x on the left to put this in standard form. So add 2x to both sides. And I get my equation, which is 2x plus 3y equals 5. All right, let's try another one. On the next page, I have find the equation of the line that contains the given points. I've got 7, 0, and -3, 2. First thing I want to do, let's label my points. So this is x1 and y1. This is x2 and y2. And I want to find my slope. My slope is m, and it equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 minus y1 is 2 minus 0. x2 minus x1 is -3 minus 7. And I'm going to simplify. 2 minus 0 is 2. Negative 3 minus 7 is negative 10. And I can simplify this to negative 1/5. And there's my slope. My next step is to use that slope and use my point x1, y1 in the point slope formula. So I have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I'm going to plug in y1, m, and x1. And then I'm going to put this in standard form. So y minus y1 is actually y minus 0 equals negative 1/5 times x minus 7. Again, I'm not going to want to have fractions in standard form, so I'm going to get rid of them. I'm going to multiply both sides by the denominator, which is 5. On the left, I'm going to distribute. But y minus 0 is just y, so I have 5y on the left. On the right, this 5 and the 5 in the denominator cancel, and I'm going to distribute negative 1. So I have negative x plus 7. And I just need to move my x to the left-hand side of the equation, so add x to both sides. And I have x plus 5y equals 7. All right, let's do one more. So looking at example B, I've got 1, negative 5, and negative 2, 4. My first step, label the first point x1, y1, and then we have x2, y2. I want to calculate my slope, which is m, as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 minus y1 is 4 minus negative 5. My next step is to do the denominator. So x2 minus x1 is negative 2 minus 1. My numerator, 4 minus the negative 5, is the same as 4 plus 5, which is 9. My denominator, negative 2 minus 1, is negative 3. And I'm going to simplify. 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. My next step, use my point slope formula. So I have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I'm going to plug in y1, m, and x1. So y minus y1 is y minus negative 5, which is the same as y plus 5. M is negative 3. And x minus x1 is x minus 1. This time I don't have a fraction, so I can go ahead and distribute my negative 3, which gives me y plus 5 equals negative 3x plus 3. Next, get all my constants together by subtracting 5 on both sides. And I have y equals negative 3x minus 2. Now I need my x's on the left to have standard form, so add 3x to both sides. And I have 3x plus y equals negative 2 in standard form.